G'day folks, welcome to Stuff and Such, where all sorts of such and stuff happens. Figured I'd do a little video for you guys on the Surge belly milkers and what the benefits are of them, and kind of go over, try and spill all the knowledge that I have on them, because when you're new to the milking game, you kind of are a bit in the dark. There's kind of two separate systems. You have the milker side, which is important, but equally important is the vacuum side. So I'll kind of talk about both sides and what you want to look for, what you kind of need to run your milker, and I'll talk about different eras of the milkers, and we'll get into that. So let's get started. So this is my latest suction system, vacuum system. I have a vacuum pump that I got given to me by a friend. I do have a 1/2 horsepower HVAC pump that successfully runs the Surge belly milker. It's just on the other side. I'll bring the camera around and maybe show it in a second. But it's currently hooked up to my old system, and it worked fine for months. And they're pretty inexpensive, like $150, and yeah, worked out fine that way. But anyways, this system here, it's nice and quiet. One thing I found when I was making the vacuum system is just how much I very much underestimated how much vacuum storage I required. So I started with I think it was a 5-gallon compressor tank that the compressor died, so I used that compressor tank and I stuck it up on top behind me. And a lot of my struggles when learning how to milk with the Surge belly milker stemmed from having a lack of vacuum. So what would happen is, with that small little tank, is that I would be struggling on this ornery cow that I started with, and I'd lose all my vacuum. My cups would fall off the teats because there's no vacuum left. The lid would lift off the bucket. It was just kind of a mess. If anyone knows what language that was, let me know. It's my diesel heater for this milking parlor. I accidentally switched the language, and I can't figure out how to switch it back, and I have no idea what language it even is. But anyways, what was I saying? So yeah, so then I kept adding tanks. I added another compressor tank, so then I had 10 gallons. It was a little bit better, and still struggling. It wasn't so much a struggle as it was, you have to be very, 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 very fast. So then I added a 100-pound tank on the other side again. I should just take you around and show you, shouldn't I? Hang on, I'll grab you. Yoink! Alright, so through here, this is our old milking parlor. So we started with this tank here, added another tank, then added that big 100-pound tank over there, and that was finally enough that I found it useful. And since we're over here, this is that HVAC pump. It has the capacity, sorry, it was actually only a third. Those are your specs. You want to run the lightest oil you possibly can in them things for this cold weather. I think I got 0.16 synthetic in it right now. So there's all the information if you want to look at that. Amps, cubic feet per minute. Anyways, there you go. Let's go back. It's cold. All right, we're back. Let's go. We're back. So then, when I would design my new system here, I just went straight to 2 100-pound tanks, and it's been working perfectly. All right, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge up my system, and then I'll start into the belly milker side. So as you can kind of tell here, it does take a considerable amount of time to build vacuum. And maybe if you have a giant pump, a lot of my reserve systems would be not as important. But I'm pretty well maxed out what I can do with 110 output with 15 to 20 amp roughly. Especially in the cold, those hard startups are a real breaker tripper. So anyways, we've got lots of pressure now. Let's kind of get into this. So with vacuum, you want to run around 12 to 14 or so, 15. So right now I'm sitting at 18. So we're just going to hold pressure there and we'll go over some things. So let's first start with what you don't want to get. There's two, well, there's more than two. There's a bunch of different off brands, but anyways, Babson Surge. I think it's Babson Brothers or something. Yeah, Babson Brothers Company. The Surge Milker. That's who I'm going to mainly stick with. There's some other kinds, but I don't really know anything about them, and they're not overly popular. So we have the C and the S style. That's kind of the main thing you need to know about. The way I kind of remembered is it's opposite to the alphabet. So the S came first and the C came second. This S is this style. And it was the first one I got, and I had lots of regrets getting it, but whatever, I learned some stuff. So anyways, I don't know really how if there's supposed to be some rubber gasket thing that goes on here, but I just wrapped some electrical tape to see if I can make it work. And that's the center. I don't know if it'll light up. But anyways, on the serial, if it'll focus, there's an S. And it's just basically a round bore that slips over this goofy contraption, and it somehow kind of locks on there. Not a very good system. So this is a style you don't want to get. Unfortunately, there's lots of them out there, and they've been mixed and matched with different lids, different bottoms to different tops, so that you can get kind of screwed up. So that's the S style. And then over here is the C style, and that's the one you want to get. Actually, this one says P on it. I don't know why, but it does. But the main thing is you see those two, those two little bars inside there. Well, that's what you're looking for, so that they will go on to this type of lid. Where'd you go? See, that's the lid you want to go for. That nice little square or rectangle flange thing. The red doesn't matter. I just painted that, so just so you know. They're pretty simple. They basically just work on vacuum, obviously. There's not too much to go wrong other than they can get plugged up in the little ports, and then you just need to clean the ports out, but I'll go over that in a little bit. The bottom, next thing you don't want to get, stay. Next thing you don't want to get is this type of bottom with the ridge where they pressed them together and soldered them. Inside, there's a lot of seams on the inside that are known to hold bacteria. So unfortunately, this one should just go to holding a plant, which is sad, but other than that, they're kind of worthless. Okay, what else should we tell you about? So let's talk about the vacuum and how the actual system works. Can you see me over here? Maybe I'll tip you down a touch, eh? All right, stay there. Okay, so the big thing why I say you need lots of vacuum is because you need a big hit of vacuum to pull everything tight, pull the pulsator down, pull the lid, smash it into the base, and pull all your stuff tight. What will happen if I do this? Not sure, let's find out. So right now you're hearing the speed. It's a bit fast simply because I got so much pressure going on it right now. So right now the lid is stuck down. The pulsator's putting away. But we're losing air pretty quick here. Let's shut her down for a second. Build a little more air. So a lot of people don't really know how these things work. So let's go over that. People think the suction comes on and off the teat, and it doesn't really. The suction is always constant on the teat, but what is changing is through this port, it's changing the outside between the inflator on the inside and the outside of the shell, or the inside of the shell. So it goes atmosphere, suction, atmosphere, suction, atmosphere, suction. That's what that pulsing is doing. It's opening and closing. But the teat itself is always being constant under vacuum. It's just that squeezing action that's what's happening. And that's simply by the pulsator sending a pulse of vacuum to equalize the pressure on the inside and the shell. So it hits it with a vacuum, pulls it open, lets it close. Pulls it open, lets it closed. Another thing in regards to the shells, now there's a bunch of different ones and I don't know where they all come from, but the main one you'll find and the one you should seek out is this one with, I think it's like a Super C, I think it's called. Will you focus? Go in front of me. Focus. It has that stamp on the side of it saying Surge. And it has that nice little barb on that angle. Now there's another one. Now I don't know if it's for goats or what it's for, but it came and it's skinny. And it does work, it's just bizarre. but I don't know what it's for. And then there's another one that came with another old milker that I got, and I don't know what it is, but it's got a weird end and a weird barb fitting. Anyways, my point of my story is that there's a whole bunch of them out there, but just simply avoid them all and stick with the original equipment. You still get them new. They're about $10 a pop, and they work just fine. There's two kinds of inflators that fit this shell. They are let's see. The one I use is Magnaflex 204. Focus. I can't get to focus, sorry. Doesn't help that I'm moving all around. Okay, 204, that is medium, and 203 is large. Now, you'll probably be having the same question as me. Do I need the medium or the large? Well, I would say that probably 95% of the cows you'll encounter will be sufficed with the medium Magnaflex 204. If your cow's teats are, say, for example, larger than a banana, then you might need the large. But as long as you can get it started in that and it'll plop up, there's a lot of room for expansion inside. It stretches, kind of flexes out. So there's quite a bit of, it looks small, but it really can hold quite a good sized teat. So basically what I was saying, if your cow's teats are a banana size or smaller, you'll be fine with the Magnaflex 204. And get a couple of sets, because if you tear one, you're kind of in a pickle. So have it on stock, have it in hand. As for cleaning, there's really no reason to have to disassemble this thing for every cleaning, because the inside the shell never enters the inside of the tube. The only way it would is if there's a rupture, and in which case you would know about it on how your machine's operating. What else? What else do you need to know? Rebuild kits. They're available for the pulsators. They're around $15 or so. They work fine. They're little leathers. They'll want to sell you some special little oil. I think it's kind of a crock. Just go, what I do is throughout the season, I'll just have a can of something light, cleaning oil. I ran out of WD-40 and I had this, I bought at a garage sale, and it's nice and thin, kind of thin and slippery. You want something that kind of cleans and lubricates, so WD-40 is a perfect little fluid just to have sitting in the barn. You'll kind of hear them start to get a little sticky, and you just kick open the lid on your pulsator. Let's bring it over. You'll hear them starting to kind of sag and slip, or not slip, but kind of hang up. Just come along, and as it's sucking away there, to give her a little psh, psh, you know, little psh. Oh, I can't give you a little psh, psh. This can's no good. Yeah. Anyways, that can's going to the garbage, I guess. So anyway, yeah. Just give it a little psh, and away she'll go again, and it'll kind of clean out all the debris and stuff. It'll get sucked up your pipe, whatever might be excess, and away it goes. All the vacuum is always traveling towards your pump and your reserve tank. Another thing is usually there's a, let's throw this up here. There's a little check valve that goes down in this hole and sits underneath the pulsator. Now I don't entirely know what it's for. It may be a sanitation thing, but it makes everything miserable. I don't know entirely what their thought process was, but what I found happens is that you can't get enough vacuum past that check valve that's in there to give the tank, because the tank's under vacuum, like the pail, the belly milker pail, it's under vacuum, and it can't get enough vacuum to really hit that hard and pull this lid down tight and just lock everything together. So it kind of just sits there and then when you're fighting, trying to get it up on the cow and you're pulling up on the lid, and then it starts flopping around, and because it didn't get a good seal and it's not staying tight, but anyway, it just made it miserable. So I don't even have them anymore. I just threw them away. Another thing that what happens with them, let's say everything's working perfect and the vacuum, how do I explain? You want to finish milking your cow, you turn off your ball valve, so you got no more vacuum being supplied to your pulsator. What happens is that little check valve pushes down and sucks down and sticks. That's how it's designed to work. Holds the vacuum inside your belly milker bucket, and then what happens is now you still got full vacuum on your cow's teats, and it's hard to get off. You gotta somehow break vacuum, and it's just cussed. Whereas if you take out that check valve, turn off your ball valve, your system will slowly come down on vacuum. Your cows are up, so you go underneath the cow and you kind of just pull it back towards yourself. The pulsators are kind of stuck to the teats, and then you just crack one with your finger. The whole thing depressurizes, and they all fall off the cow nice, and you just walk away with it hanging. Another thing, since we're in this position, moving on from the check valve, that's my opinion about the check valve. If you don't like it, that's fine. You're allowed to have your own. Anyways, when I first got it, I thought you'd require plugs to plug up the cups or the inflators. But the way they designed this thing, it's really quite neat. So you see the little angle on this face. I'll scooch up a little closer to you if you don't mind. Little angle on this face. The way that works is when this thing is hanging down, it's actually sealed. So then you lift it up, set it down, stop sucking. Get the point? So that when you're putting them on the cows, you can put this one on, put this one on, put this one on, and if you have a three teat, you don't have to put this one on, but you can. But that's a nice thing, is that if you only have 3 milking quarters on a cow, you just leave one hanging down and it's perfectly fine. Quite a neat little design. Anything else I want to tell you? I don't know, probably forgetting something. Oh, another thing to look for when you're buying them is just make sure the handle is secure. Make sure that this little lid catch is secure and not broken off. This thing here on the lid, the bracket, it's not essential, but if you watch back through this video, you'll probably see me doing an awful lot of that. So I have one that has it broken off. I do miss it. I do miss having that. You can just grab it around the inflators, but it's just not quite as convenient. Excuse me. So I don't have to milk at the moment. Got another 4 hours till milk time. If you want to see milking, well, I got other videos, or I can make one in the future. So these little air lines, they just clip on that little nipple. They don't need to go on there crazy far. All right. So right now we're about pressure, the right vacuum, I guess. We're at 14 right now. Stick that on there. I should have a vacuum regulator, but I don't have one. I just keep my ball valve cracked, and you kind of get it set to where it's just perfect and you never need to touch it. But yeah. Anyways, that's pretty well it. I think I've told you everything I pretty well know or care about. Let's hit it with some vacuum. So that's about the speed you want. So vacuum is not like pressure on a pump. It's way faster to lose vacuum than it is to lose pressure. That's why I got so much tanks. So if you kind of want to just feel what the suction is doing without the, what the pulsator is doing without the suction, just stick your finger in the hole with them hanging down and you'll feel it. Just kind of gumming on you. When we're done milking now, what we do is we just go over, turn our ball valve. You hear it slowing down. And then as it gets to about that speed, we'll go up to the cow, grab the handle, start pulling back off the cow, and then stick a finger into the side of the teat and breaks the vacuum, and now she's good to go. Yeah, if there's anything I missed, you can ask in the comments. Yeah. So, thanks for tagging along, folks. Hope you found this helpful. I know I would have back 5 years ago. Getting a little bit of insight on how things work. It's a little bit daunting, I admit. But I think if you just take it one step at a time, ask some questions if you need to, you'll get on the right track. But I would just slowly start looking around. If you don't get in a hurry looking, you can find really good quality equipment, vacuum pumps, tanks. You can find really good equipment at really good prices, because let's face it, there's not very many of us small timers that are milking anymore. There's some of us, and we're pretty awesome people, if I do say so. I think you're awesome. But the big dairy is left us way behind. The era of people milking cows is kind of dwindling. Although it is picking back up, but it's not like the 70s. So these things are kicking around. You can find them for 40 bucks. If you just keep your eyes out, don't get in a rush, willing to ship them to yourself from several states over. Just look around, just keep searching, you'll find them. But in the meantime, what you can probably start working on is acquiring the vacuum side. Make sure you have your vacuum side down before you get too carried away. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. It was great having you along. It's fun hanging out at the barn. And I'm cold, so I'm going to go by the cook stove. Bye for now.